All right, all you imp simps, all you infantry simps out there, and I say that lovingly because I used to be one, and I still kind of am. Love infantry. This is the video that's going to go through your infantry guide, okay? Your infantry march guide and your infantry march tier list. We're going to go through all of them. We're going to show you how to set up. A lot of big KVKs going on right now. People trying to figure out exactly what to run in their murder ball, and this is the video that's going to set you up because we have infantry next generation coming in a few months. So for right now, we're going to go with what we can work with, and we got a whole lot to work with, and we will show you how to set all that up. Everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chadsky, and if you like content, hopefully you like this channel, especially for Rise of Kingdoms. If you like this content, throw a thumbs up on it, give it a like, and if you aren't subscribed, it doesn't cost you anything. Consider subscribing, hit that subscribe button, and if you want to get alerts when content like this comes out, hit the bell. Help us out. We are growing the channel, we're growing the community, and we are having a great time doing it. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm like overly positive. Like it's annoyingly enthusiastic that I am. I am excited about a lot of things. I try to tamper that excitement sometimes. And when it comes to these types of videos, and anybody that knows me knows that it's pretty authentic. That's just how I am. And so that's the one thing that God has blessed me with is energy for days. And this is a video I get excited to talk about. We're talking about infantry, okay? And when we talk about infantry, we've got to be very, very careful with how we label some of these things, what to tell you to invest in, how to invest in them, because we have got old infantry commanders. We've got infantry commanders old that are still relevant today. We've got new infantry commanders. We've got newer infantry commanders that are kind of falling off. We got all kinds of things going on. And so with that, the introduction of Smite has completely changed things for infantry. Now, about a year ago, when they introduced the King of All Britain KVK, it was about this time last year, they gave us this guy right here, Ragnar. Now, Ragnar did a good job with us for giving us an upgrade from a Guan CPO situation, running skill damage and wedge for your formation. They gave us an upgrade to that. So it kept wedge and it kept skill damage for infantry. It kept it pretty, I mean, I'm going to say it kind of kept it pretty relevant. We didn't have to change this stuff out. And so when it comes to that, Ragnar has been a really, really good addition to the game. A lot of people think he's not any good, but if you're running 2 or 3 infantry marches, you're definitely running Ragnar. Very rarely are you seeing players not run Ragnar. Now, when it comes to new players entering SOC, do not invest in this guy. You go with the Smite route. You do not invest in Ragnar. And because we don't know what kind of skill damage commanders we might get for infantry in the future, maybe none, maybe it phases out altogether. We'll just have to wait and see. But it just makes sense because right now, CPO, this guy, it's going to break a lot of people's hearts, but he's getting old. And if you can bench this guy, you got to bench him. Okay, I recently did a video, I'll have a card at the top, about Philip. What are we doing with Philip now? Well, now that we're in a situation with all these combo commanders coming out for cavalry, we can move Philip away from Arthur. And if we do that, we're gonna put him behind Ragnar because it just does so much better than this guy. Okay, he's getting old. Sorry to say, guys, I love his debuff. I always have 30% health for 3 seconds on the targets he hits. But otherwise, his kit, not really that amazing. He's got good attack and stat sticks here. He's got some pretty good march speed that he does. He's got some health, and that's about it though with stat sticks. Not a whole bunch of damage. This is honestly Guan level damage here. It's not amazing, and so CPO gotta go. Just not working for me anymore. For some, it might be working. That's fine. But there are some things you got to watch and you got to change. BQ recently came out into the game. And as far as a commander goes for infantry, probably the closest thing to the power of Luce that you could get. BQ is really, really good. He is tough. He is fantastic. It's a meta march at the top end, no matter what troop type between BQ and Luce. But those two commanders have really hammered home and done a good job. And so with that, we are in a situation to where we're going to lay all this out for you. We're going to tell you what are the best marches because you have things that have changed. You got commanders like CJ that has changed from a skill damage commander to a smite commander. You've got other things like Alex. We talked about him. He got a revival when Luce came into the game because of their synergies that they have with one another, and he's still great. And so in addition to that, there are other things you can do, but you got commanders like Juan, way too old in the tooth. Leo, can't use him anymore. Sargon, there is some possibilities with Sargon when it comes to Achilles. We'll talk about that in another video, but for infantry, you're not running Sargon. You're just not doing it. Pakal, of course, we know is going to be a rally commander and is going to kick back a lot of counterattack damage. We get that. We understand that. But from here, we're going to go through this tier list and tell you what to do. So let me pull this thing up. We'll kind of take a look at it. This is the Infantry March tier list, okay? I've got S, A, B, C, and D, okay? And so from there, nobody needs to panic here. This is a preference. This is what I like. This is what I run. These are some of the things that I like to do when it comes to the game. Let me just kind of do this thing here, make it nice and clean. There it is. And so first and foremost, when we come into the infantry tier list, I had mentioned this. This is the best March by far that infantry could put out. BQ and Luce, extremely good. A lot of synergies, tons of AoE damage. This is a 5 target on top of 5 target AoE damage situation. And so anybody that doesn't understand or doesn't know, or you're coming new into SOC and you're trying to figure out what you want to run, this guy does big damage to 5 targets, okay? This guy does big damage to 5 targets. And then his expertise is off the charts. You get an extra, they call it a combo attack. It's like 2 basic attacks in one. So it helps trigger things. It helps your rage. It helps all kinds of things when it fires off. So these two together are just, match made in heaven. It is wonderful, and it is something you can invest in. Now, if you're getting into SOC and you're like, hey, Chadsky, I've been running like CJ and Pyrus, or I've been running like CJ and Alex, or I've been running, Alex and YSG or whatever, but I want an infantry march. What do? My recommendation, straight up, would be get Luce Max, because his expertise is off the charts. Get Luce Max. You can even swap for him. I know he's an older commander, but he's still so good. He is so good, and he's going to be good for a while. Okay, so you can swap for Luce, and then on a low budget, you can get this guy 5511. You go run that in K3, you go run that in K4. It will do just fine. Okay, and so another shot in the arm the infantry smite commanders got was the pincer formation. This is amazing. It enhances all the smite stuff. It is really, really good. But we're here to talk about the actual marches. So let's get back into this. The only S tier march that you're going to see is this BQ Luce, okay? We're going to get into the A marches. Now, there's a lot here, and there's a lot that can be debated, so everybody don't freak out, okay? These are all pretty good marches. I'm going to put BQ with Wallace, and I'm going to put Wallace Luce, okay? Wallace Luce for me, in fact, I'm going to put that right here. Wallace Luce for me was my second best infantry march, hands down. This goes over a year's worth of reports. This is how it was run. Wallace is really, really good with that, and BQ with Wallace was another good one as well. It makes sense. Wallace is a smite commander. It works out pretty well. And so Wallace is really, really good. However, there are 4 other marches you could put in here. Okay, I'm gonna say Hector. All right, I'm gonna put him in here. Nobody panic or freak out. Let me just increase this just a little bit. Nobody panic or freak out when it comes to Hector, okay? And the reason why is because not a lot of people are gonna have him. So don't look up here and be like, oh my God, Chadsky, you're just talking to the whales. No, I'm not. I'm putting it out there for you. We don't exactly know how this is gonna work. We've seen it in some testing, 5v5 testing, 1v1 dueling testing. Hector is like really, really good. It does a lot of smite damage. And personally, I think when it's all said and done, this is gonna end up over here. And I think this is gonna end up over here. And I'm actually going to put the BQ Hector. Maybe this is kind of splitting hairs here, but that's how I think it's going to play out. Okay. And because I think Hector is better than Wallace. And so as a smite commander, Hector is better than Wallace. And let's go look at him real quick, just so we all have an understanding. Let me take that little graphic down. Let's go look at our boy Hector, who's now in the game. These are new commanders that are in the Song of All Troy. And now the Song of All Troy, the Song of Troy, King of All Britain. So you've got a situation as a smite commander. He's doing big damage, 600 damage factor, and you also take 5% less damage, a little bit of a buff there. And then you come over here, you've got march speed, which is great. You've got health is great. Now defense is not ideal for infantry, but hey, you'll take 30% defense, whatever. You come over here, this is where it starts to get interesting. Whenever the troop deals smite damage, there's a 50% chance that all the damage will be received by 15%. It's an increase, it's a bonus to the smite damage he does, and it can trigger up to 3 times in a second. That means when he is behind an AoE commander like BQ and Luce, there's a 50% chance that all that damage he does is going to be enhanced by 15%, 50% of the time. Okay, so if you hit 3 marches and you hit 2 out of the 3 marches, get that buff. The next time you hit 3 marches, 1 out of the 3 get that buff. So that's kind of how that's going to average out and play out. You come into his force skill. This is incredible. It's great in the combo situation we've talked about. It's also the same for infantry and smite. When he's an infantry commander, he's going to do 20% more normal damage for 5 seconds. The cooldown's 7 seconds, which isn't ideal. However, it's a 50% chance to proc. So it's going to proc a lot. You're probably going to have about 40% uptime when it comes to this. So it's really, really good if you ask me. And so from there, you're definitely in a situation to where you have more normal damage that you're doing that's only enhancing the smite damage. And then of course, when his expertise is you deal 10% more damage when you have 1 troop type. So that's why I like Hector. Nobody panic, nobody freak out. Not a lot of people are going to have Hector. I'm not telling you to go max him, but for you high level infantry players, and I'll put another card in the top that has the video that I did on Hector and how he is the garrison meta with Gorgo. If you haven't tried it, I strongly consider you doing so. I've gotten hundreds of messages from infantry, garrison, and rally players that have come to me and said, Chadsky, I can't believe I've got a max Hector. And I'm like, bro, I'm sorry, but you can use them in the field. If you're running multiple marches, you can definitely do that. So there's a little bit of benefit there, but for the most part, the rest of us, we're not going to have Hector. Okay, so you can kind of ignore this and we can move on. Wallace, great. Wallace, great. Now from there, I get better results with Luce CJ. Some people get better results with Luce Alex. Some people get such good results that this thing is here or sometimes up here. And a lot of that has to do with how much cheeseburgering they do. But CJ or Luce and Alex still to this day is doing amazing. So you're kind of splitting hairs with all these here. They're all really, really good. You're just fine with those. Now, if you'll notice, Ragnar is not on here because Ragnar, not very good. And there are ways to make him better, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. First of all, we're going to bring Philip into the mix here. Okay, Philip Luce, Philip BQ, and here he is, Ragnar with Philip. My trades, as I mentioned before, with Ragnar and Philip, infinitely better than Ragnar CPO. If you have Philip and you have no place to put him because you've been running him with Arthur, and you're going to go get Achilles, or you're going to put Arthur with the new Cav commander that's coming out late next month, then you can move Philip. I recommend putting behind Ragnar. It's great. For whatever reason, it just works. It works really well. So this is a really good one. You can almost kind of split hairs here with these, but since Luce, in my opinion, is so much better, it fires off the Philip instant proc so much more often. And so from there, I give the nod to Luce with Philip. Anybody that's run that knows that that's a really good march. BQ with Philip, also really good. Ragnar with Philip, pretty good. So from there, I'm also going to pull up CJ into another march with BQ. Okay, now these will make sense later when we're talking about multiple marches you're running for infantry in your murder ball. Okay, so now we get to the C level. I'm going to put this here. BQ, I'd mentioned 5511, really, really good. You could argue that you could put it up here, or even a 5511. Could you put it here? I don't know, but here is really good. For you new players, I can't stress this enough. If you want an infantry march and you want to build towards a great infantry march and you're coming into SOC or you're doing your commander swap for K3 Light and Darkness, then you can swap for Luce and then instantly just go spend a little bit of gold heads and get BQ 5511 and go to town. It'll be a really good march for you. So that's how that works out. Then you've got Ragnar CPO. Okay, I would much rather run a BQ 5511 Luce than a Ragnar CPO. Ragnar CPO is just not doing it for me. I just can't do it. It was still going strong when Ragnar first came out, real good shot in the arm, but now you got Arthur in the game, now you got Chen in the game, now you got BQ in the game, so Ragnar is starting to fall off a little bit. He can't carry CPO. He needs help from that secondary commander. That's why Philip is much, much better. So I put the Ragnar with CPO in the C category, and I put the Luce with CPO in the C category as well. You could argue maybe this goes up here. I'll just leave it down here for now. Okay, and then from there, you get the Guan combinations. I think Guan Ragnar is better than Guan CPO, but you could argue either way. But since I love Guan, and he's the reason why I started playing this game in the first place, I have to give my buddy a little bit of love. And so from that, there is your March tier list. Like I said, it's all subjective. You guys can mix and match that stuff around, but this is the best that I've seen. This is going on tens of thousands of battles. Thousands of reports, okay? And I've run it to death. I've got my second account in 2359. It's more of an infantry account, so I've tried a lot of these things. I've got my main account in 606. I run 2 to 3 infantry sometimes with my leadership gear, and so I know how to run infantry, and I know what it does. And this is what I think will work out really, really well. The only outliers are Hector. We don't know where that's at yet, but for the majority of you, you're not gonna have to worry about that. You're not gonna have Hector, okay? And so, from there, when we look at this, we're going to now talk about the way you're going to set up these marches, okay? It's the way you're going to set up these marches, and I'm going to go through it with you on how exactly people are doing it, how you want to do it. You know, if you're running 1 march, 2 march, 3 march, 4 march, like I call it the Sasuke Psycho setup. He's got so much infantry gear. He'll try to figure out how to run, you know, 3, 4, 5 marches sometimes for infantry. The guy's, he's a lunatic when it comes to this stuff. So Sasuke, as you know, one of my 300 members, one of my good friends, 2293 buddy I've had for a long time. And he's got some crazy gear and crazy stuff for his infantry. But let's talk about this. I'm going to bring this up again. Now, this is our March setup, okay? I'm going to call this March selection, all right? And so from this, we are going to be in a situation to where we are, let me see, where is this thing? There it is. So we have it nice and easy. We're going to tell y'all in 1 march what to run. And it's plain and simple. There's not a whole lot of arguing to it, okay? BQ Luce, straight up. Easiest decision ever. It's so good, and it's so much better than anything else that infantry has. It is worthwhile, okay? A lot of people will come into SOC and they'll have like Alex maxed, and then they'll go swap for Luce, and you can maybe put for them Luce and Alex, but that's how I have it running, okay? Let me come down here. Let me put it on no crops, make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So that's your 1 march. Pretty standard, pretty straightforward. Not a whole lot of debate about it when it comes to that. So we'll just stick with that. Okay. If you're going to go 2 marches, all right, you're going to run the same thing, BQ with Luce, and then you're going to run Ragnar with Philip. Ragnar Philip, I've talked about this many, many times. And even in this video, just does so much better than Ragnar with CPO. Not running that. Not going to be a part of any kind of recommendations I've got for you guys running 1, 2, 3, or even 4 infantry lineups. So that's your best 2 infantry marches, BQ Luce, Ragnar Philip. Okay, now we're going to talk about a 2 march setup with Smite. All right, and so a lot of people have either not invested in Ragnar and going more with a 2 march Smite setup. You can do that a couple of different ways, but let me show you how I would do it. Okay, this is going to be very, very simple. I would run it this way. I would run Pincer on both, and I would get the benefit on Pincer with CJ. Now, if you have Pincer on one and then you have Arch on the other, you could make the argument that I'm going to run Luce with Alex instead. Okay, because Luce Alex still amazing. And honestly, you could go either way on that. Even if this is Pincer, you could go either way. I like to run it with CJ, but you could run it either way with Luce Alex or Luce CJ. That's what I think you can do if you're running 2 Smite marches. All right, and so that's kind of up to you. I think BQ Wallace is an easy one to just put together and go. And then you run Luce with CJ. CJ's got a little bit of a proc that runs off of Luce's expertise, which is really, really good. And you go from there. All right, so if we go to 3 marches, it's basically the same thing. You're just putting it all together. All right, now a lot of people who might not have CJ and might not be able to run him, you can go with Alex here, put CJ down here. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. If you want to put Philip somewhere else, you could run, let me see, you could run Ragnar with CPO and then run BQ and then run this or run this. But for me, I'm going to run it that way. Wait a minute. What did I just do? I'm going to put this over here. Wait, put this down here, put this down here. There we go. I'm going to run it this way. And that is something that you could figure out with your 3 marches. Now, if you are an absolute psycho like Sasuke, you can change some things and bring the CPO in, okay? Because you're going to have to move Philip somewhere else. Because for me, if you're running it this way, this is how you have to do it, okay? I am going to bring Philip and I'm going to move him over with BQ. I'm going to run Luce with Alex. And then I'm going to run Wallace with CJ. That's how I would run my Sasuke Psycho marches. 3 smite marches, 1 skill damage march, move the Philip behind BQ. That's the best way you can do it. So those are really the 5 different combinations. 1 march, BQ Luce. 2 march, BQ Luce, Ragnar Philip. 2 march with smite. You can see those there. 3 march, you got 1 skill damage march, 2 smite. And then the Sasuke Psycho, you run 1 skill damage march, 3 smite marches. That's how I would do it. Now we got to talk about Hector, okay? Because when it comes to Hector and you're running a 2 march with smite, I would honestly do this because I think Hector is going to be the best possible combination if you're running a BQ Wallace, your best possible combination with Luce. If I was running it down here, or I was running it down here, I would probably run let me see here. We'll leave that there. We'll put this here. We'll put this down. I would probably run it like that. So this for 2 march, this for 3 march. And honestly, I would probably do it this way for, let me see. if I'm going with a Hector situation, I would probably put Ragnar down here. Now ignore this line. I put Ragnar down here. Okay. I would run Luce with Alex, Wallace with CJ, and then I would bring in BQ with Hector. That's how I would run that. 100%. And so if you have Hector, that's kind of what I would do with Sasuke with the 4 march. If you don't have Hector, I think you run it how I've got it for you. You put him up here, you put him up here, and then you run BQ with Philip. Is that everything that we have? The 2 march smite? Where is that? There it is. Okay, so there it is. Get your screenshot, take your picture. If you guys are running 1 march, 2 march, 2 march smite, 3 march, or 4 march, that's kind of what it looks like. Now you can play around with this all you want. You can use Philip, you can use Hector, just depending on where you got it. You can use 5511 BQs. You can do all that stuff. You can use Alex in certain situations. You can use Alex here if you want. You can use Alex all over the place with Luce. Still really, really good. And the future is bright for infantry because as we have talked about, infantry is still going to cruise. It's still doing smite. We get new commanders in January, which is in a few months. And so hopefully we're going to be able to get another smite commander, really enhance those smite marches. And then at that point, we might have to think about our boy Ragnar. Okay. I loved this guy when he came out. He was such a great upgrade and he was really, really good, damn near for a year. And now he's starting to fall off. Now, Philip will revive him a little bit if you're moving your Philip from your Arthur march with the new combo Cav marches, and you can move Philip and put him behind Ragnar. I think that will go for a while. And who knows? We might get an infantry skill damage commander just to keep skill damage relevant. You know, the game is kind of teased that that's what it might do. You'll have your smite for infantry, you'll have your combo for Cav, but we'll also give you skill damage for infantry and Cav as well. So maybe that happens. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, please throw a thumbs up on here. I love the community. I love you guys. I appreciate you watching the videos. If you're not subscribed, like I said, consider doing so. Hit that subscribe button. And if you have not hit the bell for alerts, you can do that too. You don't have to, but you can, and you can get the alerts when I put out content like this. Hopefully this helps everybody. And with all that being said, y'all have a great day, broskies.